Okay, it looks like folks are coming in from the waiting room now. I'm going to go ahead and say hi and welcome. This is week 2 of our academic quarter here at Evergreen, but this is our first lecture of the Sustainability, Business, and Entrepreneurship lecture series. We have Shae Whitney here with us today to talk about defying corporate food industry standards, which I'll get to in a moment. But first, I just want to introduce the series and make a few announcements. So this is the first lecture in the series. Next week, we have Sean Moore from the Thurston Center for Business and Innovation talking to us about funding your startup. And then we have 6 more lectures for the quarter. So we hope you can make it to all of them. If not, recordings will be made available on the Evergreen State College's YouTube channel. My name is Paige Archer. I'm the Assistant Director of the Celtic, which is the Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership and Transformational Change. We're a public service center here on the Olympia campus. We work in SEM 2E. We host this lecture series. We have 2 certificates in the PACE program. We have some daytime business and entrepreneurship course offerings, and we coordinate internships for both undergraduate and graduate students. So if you're interested in a business management and entrepreneurship internship, please send us an email at celtic@evergreen.edu. Our co-sponsor is Thurston Green Business, which is a business designation you can get here in Thurston County. It's free and easy to apply. So if you're a business owner or you're interested in learning more, you can go ahead and check out their website. We'll put it in the chat. This lecture series is funded in full by the Clean Energy Committee, which is a student-led committee here at Evergreen with the mission to support clean energy projects and share sustainability strategies at the Evergreen State College. Shae Whitney is our speaker today. Shae Whitney, a 2010 Evergreen alum, is the founder of DRAM, an award-winning botanical beverage company. Established in 2011 in a Colorado ghost town, DRAM is dedicated to using wild foraged, fair trade, and certified organic ingredients. The company has earned numerous national awards for its products and branding and continues to lead the industry by refusing to use so-called natural flavoring in any of its goods. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Shae.
Hi. All right, I'm a little bit nervous, but let's just get going here. I'm Shae. As you just heard, I'm a 2010 alumni. I ended up at Evergreen after flunking out of 2 schools, 2 colleges in my home state of Colorado because the learning dynamic just wasn't right for me. And I saw that Evergreen had an organic farm. At the time, I knew nothing about the food world. I grew up in a Mormon family in the suburbs that ate a lot of processed food. I had never been to a farm. I had never seen anything growing in a garden. So when I was 19, I came to Evergreen and took pretty much every class offered by Martha Rosemeyer. I followed her for my entire tenure at the school, and then graduated in 2010, right after the housing crash. Hi, Martha. Of 2009. So when I got out of college, there were like architects competing for the same bartending job that I was also trying to get. And I decided the best thing for me at that point would probably be to leave Olympia and move back home, which was really sad. So I came back to Denver in 2011 and was bartending at nights, volunteering at a farmer's market on the weekends. And I started making my own cocktail bitters. So I'll share my screen here so you can see. All right. So here's my contact info if you want to write that down. And you're more than welcome to contact me after this if you have any questions that were answered. So in 20, or here we go. This is like our mission and what we show to. This is like our pitch deck for grocery stores and co-ops and things like that. The category of products I've created in the past few years has been labeled as the functional beverage category because they're made with real plants. And so it's going to be different than like a LaCroix that's just sparkling water and natural flavoring. Um, our biggest thing is to be authentic, and that is how I have survived in the food world. So we've been around since 2011. This is my product when I first launched. I made these little bottles of bitters, and the idea came to me one night when I was bartending and realized that the Angostura bitters that are in every single bar on the planet, those used to be real, made with real plants. And then eventually that industry turned over to using synthetic flavorings for cost reasons. So I thought that's really silly. I had at this point a background in various different plant medicines. I took herbalism courses in the summer and decided to roll out my own line of bitters. And so it took about a year for this to get really rolling. I was lucky enough to kind of hit the whole like Mad Men cocktail craze. And at the time we were the first female cocktail bitters that you could buy on the market. I launched on Etsy, which used to be very different than how it is now. And stores started to find me. And when I had $700, which doesn't sound like very much, I quit my bartending job. My rent at the time was around $300 because I shared this really nasty house with like 8 people in Denver. So I thought I can like make this jump. I have $400 to buy more materials and $300 to pay my rent. I was 24, so it was not the smartest thing, but somehow it worked. So then there came a time when I was getting to, once you have more than like a few employees, you really need a commercial kitchen. In the state of Colorado, if you're making over $500 a month in income, you're past the Cottage Foods Act, so you can't make things out of your house anymore. So my partner and I at the time, we couldn't afford a commercial kitchen in Denver. This was right after marijuana had been legalized, and every open warehouse and kitchen was being turned into a grow operation. So we hit the road one day and found this ghost town outside of Denver, about an hour outside of Denver, called Silver Plume, and we bought this really rundown bakery. This is how it looked after we fixed it up. So as you can see, it was really tiny. It was like the size of a shoebox. And I use this as my commercial kitchen. And then eventually friends started to ask if they could come up and visit. And so we asked the town for a liquor license. We were the only business in town. So when we went to the meeting to get our liquor license, they were all like clapping for themselves that they were getting a bar in town. So then on the weekends, we would transform this into like a bar and tasting room for our products. And that's really how the business started to take off, because we had this way to offer people a chance to come and meet us in person and try our products in person. The mortgage on this building was $500, so we could make that in one night at the bar. And it was so cheap because there was nothing in this town. It had pretty much been untouched since the 70s. So because of this, we got a lot of national press for being weird enough to move to a ghost town and open a bar with no like customers, but people came. It was one of those things like, if you build it, they will come. Eventually, we outgrew this space, and this is kind of a bad photo. We bought this building down the street, which was an old Knights of Pythia's secret society lodge. And the bottom floor, like the bottom left half, became my workshop. And DRAM just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And simultaneously, my husband and I started to experience like some really scary, awful hauntings in this building. And we found out it had been in an Unsolved Mysteries episode. in the 90s that no one in the town had told us about, maybe because they didn't think we would stay. And around the time we took over ownership of this building, a film producer from Hollywood showed up to make a documentary about how haunted the town was. And we did not want that to be our legacy. So after about 3 years of them being outside filming constantly, we decided it was time to move to a different town. We'd also outgrown the space by then. Uh, this town just had dirt roads on the side of the highway at 9,200 feet in the mountains. And it really wasn't the kind of place where you go to launch a food and beverage line because we were receiving ingredients, we were shipping out stuff on semi trucks, and it just wasn't working. So we made the jump and moved to where I live now, which is about 3 hours south of Denver in a town called Salida. Next, why is this not? And these continue to be our tenants now as we've grown. All of our products are zero sugar, gluten-free, plant-based, non-GMO. And since the very beginning, we've stuck to been really firm about our thing of never using any natural flavoring. And I'll go into that a little bit. So this is the definition of natural flavorings passed down from the FDA right now. And it's clear about what these can contain, but there's nothing written into any of the current legislation about what natural flavorings cannot contain. So when I was making my bitters and growing and growing and growing, once you get to a certain point, you become regulated by the TTB, which is the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Trade Bureau, because bitters are alcohol-based. And you have to submit your formulas to them, and they will approve the ingredients for sale. So what was starting to happen is I would submit a formula that had lemon peel and wild forage sage in it, and they would email me back and say, this is denied. Lemon peel and wild sage are not on our list of improved ingredients. And I would write back and say, what do you mean? Like, it's lemon. And they would say, we want you to just use lemon natural flavoring or sage natural flavoring. Like, that's on our approved ingredient list. And so this is what's in all alcohols, is a bunch of synthetic compounds. And so we got to the point where we were unwilling to follow their guidance. So we switched to being a completely alcohol-free company. And that got us out from underneath the TTB regulations. So then after that, let me find this slide. We launched this line of ready-to-drink beverages, and this is our biggest selling product to this day. And the extracts we use, we make them all ourselves at our workshop here in Salida. They're all alcohol-free, made with organic whole plants. Like, we're doing the extracting ourselves, which is extremely rare in the industry. If you go to the grocery store and look at any flavoring, any flavored water, it's going to say carbonated, purified water, and natural flavoring. And I just was not willing to go that direction. So the way we make our goods these days is unlike anybody else in the industry. We've had people tell us over and over and over that we probably wouldn't make it because it costs a little bit more. But because we had this weird start where we had the opportunity to build trust with our customers and have them watch our journey over time on social media, they've been willing to pay $1 or $2 more per can for our products. And we've always had a large education portion of our business online. So back to natural flavorings. We're gonna do some mental backflips here. So in the United States, the National Organic Standards Board regulates what is allowed in organic foods, what ingredients. And in 1994, the Organic Trade Association started to lobby the NOSB and say, hey, if all the other components of certified organic foods have to be certified organic, the flavorings should be as well. And that started in 2014. And they lobbied the National Organic Program and the National Organic Standards Board until 2020 when they feel they reached a resolution. I don't feel like this is anything revolutionary. So the Organic Trade Association and the NOSB have updated the rule now, where if you have a certified organic product, and it can be anything, it can be sparkling water, granola bars, it can be just anything edible, you have to now use a certified organic flavor when they are commercially available. So that is a loophole that is still allowed in this natural flavoring industry. And this is a result of lobbying from the chemical industry, specifically fragrances and flavors, upon the NOSB to continue to allow this. So that's why I have that underlined here. And all you have to do to exploit this loophole is say, we tried to find organic raspberry extract and we can't afford it. So in our raspberry flavored dessert, we're going to continue to use a natural flavoring that may not be 100% natural components. So I went and bought a certified organic lime flavor extract from one of the flavor companies on the market and sent it to a lab to be tested. They were unable to tell me if these ingredients are synthetic, but it did come back with several different solvents included, including methanol, which can be very dangerous. And I posted this online on Instagram and got like totally dragged on the internet by people who work in the chemical industry. And that's because people will argue it's such small, minute amounts, it doesn't matter. But from our company's standpoint, no one consented to this. When you buy a product at the grocery store and it says natural flavoring, chances are, because it's in what we call the natural channel in a natural store, you're going to be paying more. But there's a severe lack of severity included on that label, because saying natural flavoring is not a complete ingredient list. It doesn't include all of these different things. It's just like a unknown black hole. And currently, the companies who manufacture these extracts, they don't have to disclose anything that's in their products. So I've reached out before and asked and been denied or told I would have to sign a non-disclosure agreement and could not share that information with my customers. So that's why we have been so staunch about avoiding natural flavorings. This is a big thing for my husband and I every day when we get up and go to work, is make what you wish existed. And for us, that was sparkling waters and bitters that don't contain unknown synthetic chemicals. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, people were stuck in their homes drinking a lot of alcohol, and our business really started to skyrocket because of the non-alcoholic movement. We also make 4 flavors that contain CBD, and we were the first like CBD sparkling water to market in 2018 after the Farm Bill was passed. Right now we're in 3,500 locations across the US. We are on the precipice right now of maybe pulling out of Whole Foods because they are now owned by Amazon. That's a whole nother thing I can get into. But essentially, I'll say that the big grocery game is not designed for businesses like mine. It's actually a bit rigged to keep us out of it. So what happens these days, when I launched, you used to be able to contact like a new brand category manager and pitch your drinks and have like a face-to-face with them. They don't want to talk to us anymore. You have to go through one of 4 distribution companies in the United States. The biggest one in the natural channel is UNFI, and they won't talk to you unless you have a broker. So we got into this situation where we were paying a brokerage firm to talk to Whole Foods for us. And at the end of the day, after the distributor took their cut and the brokers took their cut and Whole Foods took their cut, we were paying $5 per case to be on the shelves at Whole Foods. So not making any money at all. And this is not this is not unique. My story is not unique. As the major grocery chains continue to be gobbled up by monopolies, this is going to continue to happen, and it's by design. Brands like Pepsi, Unilever, they don't want me having shelf space. So we like clawed our way into this world, and now we're considering leaving. And we survive on our direct to consumer. So I would say if you're thinking about starting a business in food and beverage or even in agriculture, you absolutely have to have a direct line of communication with your customers. And that can be on social media, that can be over newsletters, over YouTube, because it's not tenable anymore to think you're going to launch and be on the shelves in the grocery store without any startup capital. 3 years ago, we launched a mushroom cola to compete with Coca-Cola, which I know sounds totally insane. But I made a cola. Cola used to be an herbal medicine, like you could buy it as a tincture back in the 1800s. So we made one of those recipes and canned it with sparkling water. And right now we're creeping up to be like one of the top 10 selling beverages in the United States. Another thing that we did, I kept getting told that you can't make like a 6-pack or a 4-pack of cans without the plastic dolphin killers. And every co-packer we would go to, so we don't have our own canning facility. We make all of our own extracts, but we don't want to own a canning line. It's like as big as a house. And so we work with what's called a co-manufacturer or co-packer. And every single co-packer we would go to would say, we only offer the plastic rings. That's it. There's no other options. And so we were like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. There has to be a way around it. So we had these compostable tops made, which are upcycled beer grain that they sterilize and press into these fiber molds. And then we were the guinea pigs for the first ever high velocity machine to be made that can apply these on top of the cans, because you can't have humans doing it at the speed a canning line moves. So that machine is here in Salida, Colorado. There's 4 companies using it right now, and we've eliminated our estimate right now is 5 tons of those plastic rings from circulation in the market. So that was a big feather in our cap. But then people were like, they're too hard to get the cans out of. So recently we switched to these recyclable boxes. But the canning facility that we worked with still offers that option. This is like a sell sheet we give to stores that are considering taking us on, just how we compare to other drinks on the marketplace right now. You'll see down on the 5th category, PFAS-free water. So those are forever chemicals. If you're unaware of this situation, 3M, when they invented waterproofing materials like Scotchgard and Teflon, they began releasing this stuff into the waterways and into the environment before the US government was even aware it existed. I believe in the past year, there are now federal regulations, but they don't have to phase out these chemicals until 2027. And so we test all of our source water for PFAS. Because we're located in a rural area, we don't have any contamination, and we're extremely lucky to be able to say that. We don't have to do any additional filtering. It's just naturally PFAS free. And this is important to us because PFAS act as an endocrine disruptor and can throw your hormones off, cause all kinds of problems, especially in utero for women who are pregnant. BPA-free cans is another thing that we're committed to, and you'll probably see this on some products. Our cans, we pay almost double what another company like Pepsi is paying because we have this lining that's actually baked on so it can't leach. And we routinely test our drinks. We let them sit for 1 year, 2 year, and 4 years, and then we crack them open and send them to a lab to make sure there's no BPA, BPS, all kinds of things, mold, mycotoxins, like all of that. And we are the only sparkling water on the market right now to win a Good Food Award. So the Good Food Awards used to be based out of San Francisco. They were the brainchild of Alice Waters, and they recently moved the whole thing to Portland, just because unfortunately a lot of food producers have been priced out of the San Francisco region. So the Good Food Awards has an extremely strict vetting criteria when you enter. They go through every single thing. So you have to send them all of your sourcing for all of your ingredients. They verify that it's all certified organic, certified fair trade, and then the best of the best get an award. So right now, I think we have 9 awards under our belt. And this is my little addition that if you're looking to go into entrepreneurship, it's not all roses. In 2019, the co-packer we were using in Denver, we told them we were leaving because of deficiencies at their facility, and they went behind our back and trademarked our brand. And then they forged a contract between my husband and I and them, giving them 50% ownership in our company. And at the time, we owned the federal trademark and we thought that was enough, but you also need to trademark your products at the state level, which we were unaware of. So that's what they did. They would not back down. And so we spent 7 days in a jury trial in Denver County Court in the middle of the pandemic and spent $500,000 to get full ownership of our business back. And it was absolutely awful and brutal. And unfortunately, this is not unique. This happens all the time in the food and beverage industry, especially if you have a product that's doing really well. People will try and claim ownership. So just let that be a word of warning. Always, always, always get your paperwork in order, like right away. Make sure you file your LLC or your sole proprietorship properly. Pay a lawyer. You know, at the time I was like, I'm 24. I don't have money for a lawyer. That was the dumbest train of thought I could have had. It's worth the $150 to have a lawyer look over all of your business documents and make sure there's absolutely no way that somebody could exploit you. This was a really bold case. You know, it's not usual for people to just forge documents like this, but it happens. So it's a word of warning. This is our little homestead where we're at in Colorado now. We have 5 acres and we've been really busy over the past 13 years just building this brand, keeping up with production. And so our next phase is to move into more production on our property of our own herbs. This is our guest house. So if you ever want to come and stay, please feel free to reach out. This is a really weird just thing to add on. When we left Silver Plume because of the haunted lodge, we moved into this building, and this is about 3 hours away from Silver Plume. And I was looking through historic records one night, and I came across this birth announcement that said, first baby born at the Poor Farm, daughter of Max Dickman of the Knights of Pythias Lodge in Silver Plume. So this ended up being the same owner of the building in Silver Plume, which is crazy. This one's not as haunted, but we're keeping it. So, and oh, I think that's it. Yeah. So I'll stop sharing and take questions. Yeah, cordyceps, lion's mane, reishi, and shiitake, and we actually work with a grower here in Colorado. They're about an hour from us, and so they grow the mushrooms and make the extracts, and then we buy those and combine them with our formula. It's at DRAM, DRAM, Plant Magic, and that's all. It's just all one word. There's no underscore. This is a really great question. So of all the sparkling water companies out there right now, we probably make the weirdest flavors. And that's by intention. I generally don't create things that already exist unless I think I can do it better. I do all the formulation. So the first three flavors we released were a cardamom and black tea, a lavender and lemon balm, and a citrus and blossom. So that's citrus and orange blossom water. And we didn't really want to do a citrus, but that's the flavor that we use kind of as like our Trojan horse to get people to try our products because they see the can, it has an orange on it, it's really cute and it's very approachable. So that's the drink we see people go for the most. When I first launched, people in the industry would say no one wants to drink a lavender product that tastes like soap, or it smells like a grandma. And that's our best seller. So I I heard a lot of things about how I was going to fail from other people in the industry, but here we are, 13 years later doing seven figures. So the world has changed significantly since I launched. How this used to go was stores would contact us and say, "We love your product. We want to bring it on right away." And now they don't want to talk to you, especially if they're a big grocery chain. Um, from the very beginning, we prioritized small co-ops, like small specialty markets, wine stores, clothing stores, spaces for women. And we did not go after big grocery and we did not go after bars. We did not go after bars because the turnover is so high that, and I knew this from working in the bar industry, you can sell a product into a bar, and the second the manager who was ordering that quits or leaves, you're done. And so we don't have a sales team. We had a salesperson for about 2 years during the pandemic, but up until then, we had never had a sales team. All of our interest came from what people were seeing online on our Instagram. And since we were the first functional beverage to market in 2018, we got a ton, like we were in the press constantly for that. But now I would not I would not go into this world now into functional beverage or even beverage. It's I mean, if you go to the grocery store, you see the beverage aisle, it's just out of control. There's so many options. And what we have going for us now is we can still say we are unique. We are the only company making our extracts by hand. We know exactly what's in them. And so we really depend on our authenticity to get into grocery stores. Um, it also depends on what category you're launching into. So, you know, right now, anything with probiotics is huge. So if you had like a sauerkraut company, I'd say go for it right now. But grocery is extremely hard. Refrigerated grocery is also the most expensive and most competitive space on the grocery store shelves. So this is an insane thing. If you've heard of Erewhon in Los Angeles, they're like, I have some feelings about Erewhon, but we are in Erewhon and we pay $4,000 to put our stuff in the cold cooler. Like you have to buy that shelf space. You don't get it for free at most grocery stores, which is something a lot of consumers don't have any transparency into. And so for us, my biggest thing, my biggest piece of advice would be not to go into grocery stores. Try to go into co-ops, try to go into small boutiques, and build your own direct to consumer. You need to have your own website. We have our own wholesale platform. We've had that since the beginning. So stores apply for an account and then they can get on and just order whatever they want. And that's how we have survived. We still do make CBD. When it launched, it was about 70% of our sales, and that market also became flooded. We've also seen some legislation changes across the US. And CBD, when it first came out, like our stuff was in Sprouts, and Whole Foods will never touch it. And now there's this, like it used to be in Bayview in Olympia. And then now there's this issue where the companies who insure all the products in the grocery store. So if a grocery store was hit by a flood or if it burned down, the insurance company will cover the loss of all the products. They won't cover CBD anymore. And so that really took our sales down a notch. And it's around like 35% now, but we have the highest margins on that product. So we keep it around. We do the most sales of that through our website. And we will continue to offer those products as long as we can because we hear from people daily that it is the only thing that has helped them stop drinking alcohol if they have substance use problems. Buy direct, buy direct from the brands, and continue to support CSAs and food co-ops. Food co-ops are one of our like most favorite channels to sell into. But everybody, we're all plagued by convenience. You know, we're creatures of convenience now, and we hear from our customers that when they go and do all their grocery shopping, they just want our products on the shelf there. And we have to explain all the time. I mean, I field questions all day on social media. Why isn't this in my local grocery store? And the best way you can support small brands is give them your money directly or give it to another small business that is run by someone in your community and try and keep the money in your community. And I know it's not possible for everybody to be buying direct products online or avoiding big grocery stores, but that's really the biggest way to fight back. No, I was just living hand to mouth for, I'd say, the first 7 years of our business. We would run our bar cash only, so we didn't have to pay tax on that money. Um, we've always had we've always had like some kind of hospitality offering alongside of our products, even if that is pop-ups. Like right now, we have the guest lodging, and those funds helped us pay for our own living expenses as we were growing our business. I did not get a paycheck though until year 7. And that if you really want to start a food and beverage business with no funding, with no investors, that's the harsh reality. I mean, just lived every day, every single day working on DRAM. When we moved to Silver Plume, we didn't have anywhere to live. We slept on a couch in the bar. And eventually this old timer in town was like, I have this huge empty lodge. Do you guys like want to move in there? What I will say, one creative way we've gone about finding spaces, like our current workshop in Salida, we put an ad in the paper that we were a young couple looking for a place to run our business out of. And this old man reached out and said, I have this building I don't use. And he owner financed that for us. The man who gave us the haunted lodge in Silver Plume, he owner financed that. And so with owner financing, you don't have to get a bank loan. And so then you don't have any debt. You just pay the person who owns the building continues to carry the debt. And that has really been our saving grace. We also had to be creative by living places where nobody wanted to live. You know, I couldn't have launched this business in Los Angeles or New York City without right now probably like 20 or 30 million dollars. And that's just not a path I ever wanted to go down. My husband and I are the only owners of DRAM right now. We have a staff of 4 people. We run things very lean and we don't have a goal. Our goal is not growth over growth over growth over growth. Our goal is to be making things we want to see in the world and providing a good lifestyle for ourselves and enjoying our lives. So, you know, it really depends on what your goals are. If you want to be on every shelf in every grocery store, then you're going to need to make a pitch deck and find $10 million. Like that's the reality these days. Unless you want to be scrappy and you're okay, like not having very much money for a long time. Yes. So 2 years ago, Meta restricted our Instagram account for selling CBD, even though that's allowed now. And up to that point, I had built 90,000, a following of 90,000 followers with doing no advertising. Like we never did it. We never used hashtags. We never did any advertising. My biggest tips are you need to be consistent. You need to know what your message is, and you need to find 1,000 people. You don't need a million followers. You need to find 1,000 people who care about your brand, and you will survive. So I did that over time. I'm really consistent with our content. We're very transparent about what's going on at our company. I post every single day on stories several times a day. We send out newsletters, and we also have content that isn't just about our products. Like I'm always posting about our dogs, and we have people who just follow us for our dogs. And so, I think that would be my advice. Like, people are so tired of just being inundated with constant advertising. You need to go out there and be authentic and believe in what you're selling and tell your story. And don't be afraid if you don't like how your face looks or your voice sounds. Like, just don't even think about all of that stuff. Like, sometimes I've had friends tell me, like, your social media is cringy. And I'm like, it's not for you. You don't pay my bills. It's for my 1,000 people that watch everything and then go and buy anything we're selling, any promotion we have. So that's my advice. And, right now, social media is in a dark age. Mark Zuckerberg is proving to be a disgusting incel that doesn't support democracy. And TikTok is being banned. We never got on TikTok because I kind of saw that one coming. So I would trust your gut and kind of be aware of where people are going to flow next. YouTube content does really well, but people don't want to check YouTube every day. So I think I think there's a new horizon right now. And so if you're looking to start a new business, I would get on whatever apps are coming up and reserve your name. And if those apps start to pick up steam, get on there and start telling your story. So my husband and I have always been in alignment from day one of what our vision and our mission is, but every time we've gone to a co-packer, it's been no, 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 no. You don't need to do this way. Like we've had co-packers say that they won't use our homemade extracts because they don't know what's in them and they just want us to switch to natural flavoring. In 2019, we got approached by a very large investment group, including like the inventor of the iPhone and Tony Hawk and like all these Silicon Valley people. And they were going to give us $10 million to blow DRAM out of the water. And we really had to sit down and talk about the sacrifices that were going to have to be made because they had funded Blue Bottle Coffee in San Francisco, which got purchased by Nestle for 80, I think $8 billion, which is crazy. And so, when someone's dangling like that kind of an opportunity in your face, it's hard not to say no because I was thinking like, in a few years we could just sell this and then we could like have our dream farm that's off the grid. All these things start coming up and we had to sit down and be like, do we want to be in golden, they call it golden handcuffs for like the next 2 to 5 years, which is usually what's required when you have an investment firm come in and then they find an acquirer. And that most likely in food and beverage, if that's your goal, you will get acquired by Unilever, Nestle, Pepsi, or Coke. Those are your options, or Dow. That's it. There's no world in which like a company like marginally bigger than you comes along and acquires you. That if that does happen, they have the goal to go and become absorbed by Nestle as well. So we really had to sit down and talk about what that would mean for our customers. And at the end of the day, it just was against everything I believe, every reason we get up and go to work in the morning. And so we turned them down and they were like shocked. Like we had done all the paperwork and had said we can't do this because it's just going to destroy our company. The second that happens, they would have value engineered all of our products. They would have said, you guys are ridiculous. You're not spending your time making these extracts anymore. We're going to natural flavoring. And then it would have been like we just got gobbled up by the abyss, you know. So, but it's hard. It's hard. And I mean, I feel pressure around this all the time, especially when I see other companies who, are getting like $120 million valuation. And it's like, but I know in my heart, like they aren't creating something that's like helping the world or anything novel or anything different. Um,
For folks that are interested, someone just shared a link to the definition of value engineering on Investopedia. And also, I just wanted to lift up this comment. The amount of integrity that you and your company have demonstrated over and over again is so inspiring and much needed in dark time, much needed light in dark times.
Thank you. I mean, it's come at a cost, but I guess I have the philosophy like unless you're independently wealthy, you have to get up and figure out how to make money so you can survive. And I can't like I'm not gonna go line the pockets of like Nestle. Like why would I? That's not why I'm here. So because I have an NDA with my own business for good reason, I can't go into like our specific processes. But we've been refining and changing this process over the past 13 years. Our biggest Achilles heel is that we can't we can't make the concentrations that can be made in a synthetic like in a chemist's lab. We just can't. And so we really have to have that messaging with our customers. Our products, the description is that they're delicately infused. And that is what people have to accept. Like there's only so many compounds you can get out of a piece of bark without using crazy machinery and breaking it all down and recombining it and using all kinds of solvents. So it's just we do our absolute best, and our customers who care about that have found us. But we do get some nasty feedback from people occasionally that say like this isn't as strong as a LaCroix or it's not bringing all the flavor. And if you watch the 60 Minutes link that was attached for this lecture, that's not the world we're existing in. I don't have a lab where I'm breaking things down and recombining them and synthesizing them, and I never want to go there. So what we can offer right now is we're doing our absolute best. We try all different new methods and we upgrade our technology when we can. And right now our products are probably the best they ever have been flavor wise, but we'll never have the full bodied flavor of a Coca-Cola ever. Our mushroom cola, people say it sounds like a whisper of cola, and it does. Like it doesn't have the corn syrup, and a lot of this is an untraining of the palate for our customers who are used to being hit over the head with these flavor compounds. For this one, we try our best, like our most preferred supplier, because a lot of our ingredients aren't grown in the United States. Like you can't get cardamom in the United States. Um, when I sit down to formulate something, top of mind is always what can we get regionally? So, like with the mushroom cola, we could get all the mushrooms here in Colorado. We make the only sweetgrass sparkling water in the entire world, and we grow all of the sweetgrass for that at our property. But then our cardamom and black tea flavor, that is one of our most popular flavors. And so for that, we first seek out growers that are working in some kind of a cooperative or um, some kind of structure where there's transparency that they are using their funds equitably, they're growing things sustainably, and that's like verified. We don't get on Alibaba and buy 50 pounds of cardamom, and we've never done that. And because of the way we go after some suppliers, we are, we are vulnerable to what can happen with civil unrest or climate change. Like during the pandemic, it hit the region of India where cardamom was coming from so badly that they had to shut down. They had to shut down production. And so we couldn't source that for about 6 months. And we just had to tell our customers, like, we can't get this product right now. We've had really severe drought years with the citrus growers in the United States. And then every time Trump threatens to deport everybody, that also becomes an issue because there's nobody to go out and pick the citrus. And we communicate that to our customers. Hey, we can't make our citrus sparkling water right now. We can't get our citrus because it's made by immigrant farm workers. It's picked by immigrant farm workers. And if they are not there, it's impacting you in your house getting the sparkling water. So we let people know when the supply chain has been disrupted, and people really appreciate that. But it's hard. I mean, we have a COO that we brought on in 2019, and he handles like all of our big supply chain stuff. Like he's getting all of our stuff to and from where it needs to go. And I drive him crazy because he'll say, here's another producer. Like, why can't we just order from them? And it's like, because we haven't built a relationship with them. I don't know who they are. So we're not selling that product. We were in the Olympia Food Co-op for quite a while. I need to check back in on that. So the distributor for Bayview and the Olympia Food Co-op, their insurer would not insure CBD anymore. And so instead of bringing on our non-CBD drinks, they just dropped all of our products. Since we don't have a sales team, situations like that are kind of like one of us will get to it when we can. So this is a relationship that I've been meaning to reach out and remedy. But as I was talking about with placement in beverage, like when you lose that little slot in the cooler, you got to fight really hard to get that back. And some people play really dirty. Like you can, if you've ever gone into a grocery store and someone is stocking stuff and you ask them where a product is and they say, I don't work here, they work for a broker firm, and they are like a feet on the ground team that goes and unshelves products that they don't represent and puts the products they represent in their space. So we still have a team doing that for us. They're called Dirty Hands. They go into grocery stores and do that for us. But once you lose that shelf space, it's difficult to get it back. I'm sure the co-op would be more amenable, but I'll work on that. This is a good question. We did invest this past year in a new tool that was very expensive for extraction, but like I can't tell you what it is because it just kind of gives away our method. I will say that the cannabis extraction world has come very far. They also, when you see hemp extract on a label, it's like the natural flavoring industry. They don't have to include like what's actually in that. And so we shopped around to all these different hemp farms and extraction places, and they can contain a lot of nasty stuff. And so I think vacuum extraction is something that has become like very exciting in that industry because there's a lot of butane extraction that happens, and it's really dangerous and really toxic. And we've never purchased from people who use butane extraction, but now that vacuum extraction has become more popular, that's something that's exciting because it just means there's less solvents overall in the industry. Um, People ask this all the time. We don't like sit down and like forecast goals. I know that sounds crazy. I think for me, well, the biggest thing for a long time was getting to a place where my husband and I weren't doing all of the extraction and all of the bottling ourselves. So we are at that place now and we have more. We were also doing all of our packaging and shipping. Like I would pack and ship orders every day for years. And when you're a founder, that's not what your role is supposed to be, even though you have to do it to get to a point where you can pay someone else to do it. So our goal for a long time was to free up more space so we have time to start dreaming again, which I think a lot of people lose sight of. If you just get buried in like your work goals, you can really kind of destroy your opportunity for creativity to flow. So I think that's what we're both focused on right now. And like I said before, I would like to start putting some of our land here in Colorado into production of our herbs, but that's like a whole nother job. So yeah, we'll see. Um, No, no, but one thing I did forget to mention, back to the regulation of what natural flavorings mean and why they're allowed in organic foods. So the National Organic Standards Board, they go through what's called a sunset process every 2 years. And in 2024, natural flavorings were up for review. And no one from the public, except for me, came to say that I don't think they should be allowed in organic foods because there's all these synthetic components still and there's no transparency. And because I was the only one, they were like, okay, like pass. And so I will take the responsibility of making the public more aware of this process, but they're up for sunset review again in 2026. And that's the opportunity for the public to say, hey, like we'd like some transparency here, at least tell us what's in these, or don't allow them in certified organic foods. And then they would sunset that ingredient. That's why it's called that. They would get rid of it. So, but I have time if anyone has any last questions.
Let's do a last call for questions. I'll pause I'll do the awkward Zoom pause for 10 seconds. All right. Shae, on behalf of everyone here in this room, on behalf of Evergreen, on behalf of the Celtic, on behalf of the community, thank you so much for being with us today. We've had obviously a fantastic lineup of lecturers for a long time. I think this one stands out to me because of all of the practical information and guidance and tips that you sort of threaded through your journey. So not only was this incredibly inspiring, but very, very informational. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I
Um,
think I also would just say in closing, if you're wanting to start your own business, I truly believe that we're all given gifts on this planet. And I would find out what that is and I would run with that. Like when I came to Evergreen, I did not think, I thought I was going to leave being a farmer, but it turns out like I hate waking up early. I never thought I would own a beverage company, but I have a passion and a gift of formulation that I discovered through my studies. And so life isn't always what you expect it's going to be. And if you have the opportunity to like get pulled towards a business that really resonates with you, I would run towards it if that's what you want to do because you will find success if it's coming from your soul and your heart.